Hold up, I am on my way, I'm in motion. Let's go to the ocean. Yeah, let's go outside. We can hang out on the beach without freezing.
Welcome to Crafty Beach. This is Julie. Today I have 30 Dollar Tree summer DIYs. I have a little bit of everything in today's video, but lots of fun summer crafting inspiration for you. Okay, this is going to be a fun project, guys. I'm going to start off with 2 of the wood rounds from Dollar Tree. And we're going to make an actual tier tray, a watermelon tier tray, but we're actually making the tier tray too. So the 2 wood rounds are going to be the bottom of my tier tray. They're nice and big. And the reason that I have 2 is because they're super thin, right? But I thought if I put some of the Dollar Tree wood beads in between, we can make it nice and thick and chunky. Now, this is how we're going to change these little wood rounds into watermelons. These adorable little watermelon napkins they have in the summer section at Dollar Tree. They are almost the perfect size, and all you got to do is open it up carefully. You're going to want to remove the lining because they are like a ply watermelon. And whenever you're doing like decoupage, like if you can just work with one layer of the napkin, you're going to have better results. So once you find it, you can just peel that off like that. And basically, it's just a little bit too big, but that is fine. We're going to make it work. So first thing I'm going to do is put some Mod Podge. I'm using the matte Mod Podge, and I'm doing a thin layer because you don't need much for these napkins, especially a single layer. But you do want all of your wood round covered with the Mod Podge. This is, I think, the first and only tier tray that I have made from scratch. No, this was the first, not the only. I did make a beach themed one too, I guess. So I just kind of center that on there, and I'm just being very careful about smoothing that out. I don't want wrinkles if I can avoid it, but I want it to be as flat as I can. So working from the center, I kind of smooth it out, make sure my hands were nice and dry. And you can see the overlap on the edge. Basically, the green part of the rind, like the dark green part, is a little bit too wide, but we can always kind of simulate that once we get it all on there. So I've got it on there pretty flat, and then I'm going to go in with my heat gun and give that a good dry. I want to make sure the edges are really dry too, because I want to sand that to give myself a cut. A perfect cut all the way around, and I do that with just a sanding sponge from the Dollar Tree and sand off the excess napkin. I love these napkins. I always try to pick them up every summer because I think they're so cute. They're probably my favorite one out of all the fruit ones. And then this is going to be the bottom of it. So now that I have it covered with watermelon, I can start thinking about putting this together. This is the round wood beads from Dollar Tree that are strung together. And I'm just kind of loosening up the end piece on each one of them because it's not quite long enough to go all the way around. So I'm going to have to use more than one. So this end I will just kind of start at. So I'll just kind of knot that several times. Not a big fan of that string in there. And then I can tie the next one on once I get this one attached. So I do a bead of hot glue, like one section at a time here. And I want like the wood beads to go like all the way to the edge to fill in like the gap in between the 2 signs when I put them together. So I do like half at a time there. That's how far one of those wood bead garlands will get you. I like using them strung up like this already because it makes it easier in placement. Now I just tied on my second one, and then I'm going to continue gluing that all the way around. And this is going to create a great side edge for my tier tray and make it nice and thick and chunky. So I got it glued all the way around. We have wood beads all the way around. I am going to paint those, but I thought it would be easier to glue those all on while everything was still kind of raw wood. I do use an extra bead of hot glue all along the inside just to help reinforce that a little bit and make it stronger. Now it's just a matter of putting the two together. So I'm going to do a bead of hot glue all the way around the bottom edge of the wood round that we covered in watermelon, and then lay the bottom on there, gluing the wood beads to that sign. So basically the wood beads are the joint in between the two, and see how thick and chunky it is now? It looks way more high end and more like, a tray of a tier tray should look, I think. Now this is going to be the bottom tier, and I want it to have legs. So I'm going to use actually some of these little wood snowmen from the Dollar Tree upside down that I had left over from Christmas. They make perfect legs, so I always try to buy extra of those whenever the holiday season comes around. But you could use anything. You could also use like the little wood cubes and stuff like that. That would be a good leg as well. But I thought these would be nice and decorative, right? You totally can't tell they are a snowman when they're upside down. And I'm going to paint mine. I think this was leafy green, but I have more than one leafy green. This is pretty green. I think it's about the same color as my Christmas green. And I'm just going to paint all of our little legs that green color to go with my watermelon feel. Now, when my watermelon napkin was a little bit larger than my tier tray, I had to cut off all the green parts. So I'm just going to use that same green to paint all of the wood rounds and the sides of the little wood rounds there. And I used a brush so I can kind of get down in between the different beads there. And so try to cover up any of the exposed raw wood. And this is also going to look like the rind, of the watermelon. And I don't really care if I get a little bit on the napkin because I do kind of want some of that to be on there as well. So once I get that all painted, I do use a tiny brush and just kind of blot like a kind of an abstract line, kind of distressed a little bit there. Like, a watermelon rind wouldn't be perfect for sure. And just paint a thin rind right back on with that same color. Now our legs are dry. We can go ahead and attach them. I did a total of 5 because it's a pretty big tier here. I think it's going to need 5 for stability. And so I just kind of put those like in a shape of a star maybe, and then just start hot gluing those on. And don't those make really cute legs? I can't remember where I got that idea. I saw somebody do it, maybe on Facebook. So cute. Now, this is just the bottom tier. So next we'll be making the top tier for our tier tray. But if you just wanted to make a tray, you could leave it at this step and it would be super cute, right? But I wanted mine to be a tier tray, so we're going to keep building. So I needed a wood round that was smaller, and I found these. These are the ones with the words on them, which is fine because you're not going to be able to see that in the end, but they are a smaller wood round from the Dollar Tree, and you want a smaller size for your second tier. So I'm going to use those and some more of this wood bead garland. This is the older style that was on twine and a little bit longer. I liked this one better, but whatever you can find at Dollar Tree. So what I want to do is have like hello and welcome both inside so they don't interfere with the design of my tray. And I'm not going to bother taking them off or anything like that because they're going to be hidden right inside of this tier. So just like before, I'm going to glue the wood bead garland to the edges just by using a bead of hot glue and wrapping that around. And then I can use that kind of like in between, like we did before, to attach those back to back. And that seemed to work really well. So that is definitely a way that you can get a smaller wood round from the Dollar Tree, even though they don't really have a plain one, I don't think. They have a close to one, the one with the frame around it now. It's kind of close. But I'm going to do the same thing here. A bead of hot glue all around the inside edges. And hello to welcome. we're going to glue this second tier together. This is going to be a 2-tier tray. And so this is constructed the exact same way the bottom tier was. And we're going to kind of decorate it the same way too. So I just make sure that I got all my labels off the back of that. And then we can use another one of these adorable little napkins for the top of it. Now, you know, decoupaging with napkins can be a little tricky. If you do get your Mod Podge on there and you get it on there and it's like really wrinkled or messed up, you can remove it if you're quick. If it does dry on there though, you're probably gonna have to sand it off a little bit, but try to go from the center. You have a little bit of play before it dries. As you can see, I'm kind of lifting mine a little bit to make sure that I can smooth it all the way out to the edges. And I just centered mine on there. So this top tier is basically just going to be the inside of a watermelon with that red pattern with the black sunflower seeds. And I love these napkins because they look so realistic, right? The different shades of red and stuff like that. And so just like before, I am using my sanding sponge, cutting off all the excess napkin. Perfect way to give you a perfectly round circle for your napkin. I'm just going to make sure that is dry as well. I don't normally like to do Mod Podge over the top of it if I'm working with napkins, if I don't need to. So I'm going to use that same leafy green color and a brush, and we're going to go ahead and paint the sides of this one green as well. And then I just need to find something to put between the two tiers to make it an actual tier tray. If you have like a Goodwill sale or like a Goodwill store or a garage sale or something like that, you could probably find some really cute like wood candlesticks and stuff like that. I really wanted to keep this to the Dollar Tree. It makes it a little bit easier for y'all. And so what I end up using is a Dollar Tree candlestick to do the middle part of mine. So painting this one the same exact way that we did the bottom, all around the edges, and then a slight watermelon rind all along the edges. Now for the rind, it kind of has a transition color in between, right? And so it's kind of a yellow color on the bottom tier. And so it's kind of a yellowish green, right? So I'm kind of trying to simulate that. Just because I didn't want the pink right up against the green, I wanted this to look maybe like a little bit of a smaller watermelon instead of just one piece of the watermelon. So I just do a thin line of that all the way around. And then follow that up with a white edge. And that gave me that same like watermelon rind that will be on the bottom tier. So it'll kind of make it match. It'll just be like a smaller watermelon. So I'm happy with that. I think that looks really cute. And so this is what I'm going to use for the middle part of my tier tray. Just a round ceramic candle holder. It's not too tall, so I'm not going to be able to put really tall stuff on the bottom tier of this. That's why if you had like a longer wooden one, it might work a little bit better for you. But this is going to be kind of a small tier tray. I want it to blend in with the watermelon insides that it's going to be sitting in. And so I am just painting it red. Now, painting that white ceramic, like a bright red, did require several coats of paint to kind of get good coverage. And I just wanted to look like that juicy part of the watermelon. Once I get it dry, I also thought it'd be fun just to add some seeds to it. So I'm just using a black Sharpie, and I'm just going to kind of draw seeds all over. You're not really going to be able to see this too much, but I thought it would be a fun little detail to add to my tier tray, so I thought, why not? And watermelon seeds are super easy. You can just do ovals if you want, or you can get a little fancier and try to put a pointy end on it like a seed would look. And then I want this to stay together, so I'm going to use some E6000 to help make this sturdier. I'm going to use my candlestick upside down. So it has like a lip around the edge that sticks out a little bit further. So I'm going to do E6000 all the way around. I like to use E6000 when I work with ceramics and stuff like that. When gluing it, I just find that it makes your project a lot sturdier. But I'm also going to do some hot glue and separately to try to help that stay together temporarily until I can get all of that glue to dry. So I just turn that upside down, sit it right in the center of our bottom tier, and make sure that I'm getting really good adhesion there so that glues down. I'm going to do the same thing here on the top. I'm going to do a bead of the E6000 all the way around the edges. Follow that up with hot glue, kind of on the inside, just to help kind of catch that. And then we can add the top part of our watermelon. Doesn't it look so cute? Make sure you get it on there centered. Well, you still have a bit of wiggle room with that hot glue, and make sure that it is good and secure. And we did it, guys. We built a tier tray that looks like a watermelon. I think it's so fun, and everything was from the Dollar Tree, super inexpensive to make, and it was actually really fun. And here is a quick little preview. Don't worry, we will craft some stuff to decorate this as well. We can't leave this just plain like this, but I think it turned out so cute. The napkins were definitely the key to success on this project. Okay, time to decorate it. I told you we needed small stuff, right? So I thought we would use some of these little wood dice from the Dollar Tree, little wood cubes, to make some little like building blocks for the tier tray. They'd be nice and small. And I found some little phone grips, the little pop sockets from Dollar Tree. I found a watermelon one and a lime one. But I wanted to do just all three of the blocks, and I only had two. So I'm going to use some glass stickers to kind of finish off the last one. So I thought I would pick out some of my best, like fruity colors here. This is kind of, I can't remember what this is called. It's kind of like a yellow-green color. And so that is going to be my first one. I thought all of the little projects for this tier tray should be like fruit themed, not necessarily just watermelon. I thought it would be fun to mix it up with like all like these citrus fruits and stuff as well. So this cube, I'm going to make this one fire red. And so we're still staying with kind of those same color scheme with like the red and the green block. Then I thought for the third one, I wanted to have something kind of plain for the ceramic sticker that we're going to use. So I thought I would just do this one white. And these are kind of like, I guess they're shaped like giant dice, but they're a nice small size to make something for your tier tray. Now it's just a matter of drying them and decorating them. So I did this one like that, like lime green color, because I thought that would be like perfect for this little lime pop socket. And I always like checking all the aisles at Dollar Tree because you never know where you're going to find cool stuff. I found cool stuff like this in electronics a lot and in like bath supplies and stuff like that. Like they have a watermelon popsicle sponge right now. You can find some really cute stuff kind of looking off the beaten path. So it's just a matter of popping the pop socket apart. I don't need that. I just need the cute little lime, right? And I'm just going to attach that with hot glue. It's a perfect size for the little dice. Fits right on that circle in the front. It makes a tiny little decoration for our tier tray. So we're going to do the same thing here with the watermelon one. I think they also have like orange or lemon maybe, if you can find them. That would be really cute too. Definitely had to do the watermelon one though, since we were decorating the watermelon tier tray. So just like before, we're just gonna open this up and take that little watermelon off the popsicle and attach it to the round part of our little dice. Now, I wouldn't recommend using these pop sockets. My son went through like 2 or 3 of them in a row, and he's like, would you please buy me like a real pop socket? Because he fidgets with his a lot on his phone, and they would break immediately. But they work great for decor. So there's our little lime and our watermelon, and I only had 2 of those. So I thought I would use one of these little ceramic stickers and do that. I was going back and forth between I love summer and enjoy summer, and I think I decided on enjoy summer. So that's kind of how I love summer will look. It was a little bit bigger than I needed. But the Enjoy Summer, it has like a little hibiscus on it. It's super cute. And you don't have to use these on ceramics. You can stick these to anything. They're basically just really strong stickers. I'm just going to peel that and stick that on our little white dice. And we have 3 really adorable little decorations for our little tier tray. So let's keep making items. I told you I like to check all the aisles at Dollar Tree. I found a luggage tag that has a little watermelon gnome with sunglasses on eating a watermelon. So I thought that would be perfect. We can make a little sign for the watermelon tier tray with that. For this one, I'm going to use one of these little burlap signs from the Dollar Tree. I love these chunky signs. I haven't been able to find these lately. They have a misspelling on the front of them, and I think they had to take them off the market, but I wish they would fix the spelling and replace these because these were great. They're real chunky, heavy, and they're covered in burlap already. So I'm going to attach our cute little watermelon gnome to the front. He's just about the right size. He does have that little slit from the luggage tag on the top, but I'll show you how to disguise that. I do a bead of hot glue all along the little holder on the back there for your address, the little square, and just glue him to my sign. See, I told you can find cute stuff everywhere in Dollar Tree, so be sure to go down every aisle. And then to cover the little slit in his hat, I'm just taking some Dollar Tree twine and just going to tie a simple little bow there. It's going to serve as a decoration, but it's also going to cover that up. Easy peasy. I'm just going to attach that with a little bit of hot glue. And I have so many watermelon DIYs that I think I'm going to have to break this up into 2 videos just because I have a lot because I love watermelons for summer. So this next one is just one of these little wreath charms from the Dollar Tree. They're kind of chunky, but not really. And they're great for little signs, for a tier tray because it's not going to be real tall. So this is a butterfly one. It doesn't really matter which one you get because we're going to customize this and make this look like fruit. I do start with a little spackle there just to cover the hole. It has a hole in there so you can like hang this. I guess it's a wreath charm or something like that. But I usually find other uses for these. So I'm going to start by I want a blank canvas and I don't want you to see that butterfly. So I just paint the top of it with some ivory chalk paint there. And what I wanted to do was to try to paint this and make it look like an orange. I told you I wanted to go with like summer and fruits for this cabinet that we're decorating with this tier tray. So I go over it with, I think this is like a pumpkin orange. And I had a nice white coat there, so 1 coat's definitely enough. And then I'm going to use just a white paint pen and draw a circle on the inside, a dot in the middle, and then I just have to start doing lines, one side to the other. And what you want to do is form like the little orange wedges. So kind of like a cross pattern, and then you can fill in all the gaps. Then you can kind of round the corners on your orange to give you a little bit of that white stuff that's on the orange, the rind. And give it that orange shape. And this was so easy to make, and I think it looks just like an orange. If you wanted yours to be like a lemon or a lime, you could totally do the same thing. But I thought an orange would be fun. And I think it's just thick enough to kind of stand up on its own. You could always add something to the back if it's not. And then I'm going to use one of these little wind chimes from the summer section at Dollar Tree. They have these in like the ones with the markers, or this is like, I think the smaller one that's part of the wind chime. Basically, the only thing I'm looking for in here is that cute little watermelon that says summer vibes. So I was trying to think if I could use any of the other pieces, but probably not for this project. The only thing I don't like about the wind chime ones is that there are holes in the top and the bottom there to make it into a wind chime. So that's the first thing I'm going to have to do is just try to fill those holes up with a little bit of spackle. And then we can decorate this and make it look cute for our tier tray. So once my spackle is dry, I can start coloring this in. I thought a Sharpie would be easier than trying to get a paintbrush or in any of these spots. So I'm just kind of trying to stain the wood with my Sharpie. It actually worked pretty well. So just going around all of my letters. I want this to be really colorful. There's lots of different parts to this design. So I just want the watermelon part to be red. And you can still see the seeds coming through too. And then I'm going to use a green paint pen here for the rind. The lighter color green on the inside rind there. And then kind of a white background for this guy. So I just use a white paint pen. And I'm going to kind of go over all of the rest of it with that white paint pen, just because I wanted a white background. And since it's white, you're still going to be able to see the design through there. And I thought it was a little streaky, so I actually went back in there with some white acrylic. Now, I wanted a little bright blue for this one, so I used like kind of an aqua color paint pen for the vibes. And for the summer part, I could still see through there to put summer back on there. So I go back in there and just kind of re-add that to it. So it kind of has the same vibes, kind of looks like water maybe. And then I just use like a black ink pen to kind of draw my black border back on my letters. And then this definitely needed some definition. So I just kind of trace all of the letters back on there from where we painted that, touching it up a little bit as well. Just an easy little handmade watermelon sign. Looks super cute. I do need to add a block or something to the back. I just cut down a wood block that I had, made it smaller, and I'm just going to hot glue that to the back just to make this stand up on our little watermelon tier tray. Super easy, and I think this is going to be just about the right size. Now for the next one, I wanted like a circle, but I wanted a circle with a hole in it. So I thought this little picture frame from the Crafter Square at Dollar Tree would be perfect. And I just need to pop the back of it off without trying to cause any damage. There are like a couple of staples that stick out that were used to hold the hanger on. So I'm just going to use some pliers to remove those and little staples that hold on the back of the picture frame. The reason I wanted this specific shape is because I wanted to try to make a slice of pineapple, since we're doing that fruit theme, summer fruit theme for the watermelon tier tray. And then this is the color I'm going to use. It is goldenrod. There we go, goldenrod. And I thought this was the perfect color for a pineapple. See how this looks just like a slice of pineapple? Now that I have the frame off of it. You could leave the frame on it, but I needed these projects to be fairly small. So I just paint that great color of goldenrod, also painting the edges to make it look like a little slice of watermelon. Then I go back with like a yellow paint pen and I kind of draw those little striations that are on like a pineapple slice. Just little lines straight out all the way around, and it gave it that great look of a slice of pineapple. And then I go in with another color of yellow too, just to kind of emphasize that a little bit more. And then I thought that stood out a little bit too much, so I do go back in there with that original color and kind of distress, break it up a little bit. And it really gave you that look of a little pineapple slice. Now, just like before, I need a way to kind of stand that up, and I'm just going to use a little Jenga block from Dollar Tree and just glue that to the back of our little pineapple. So we have all different kinds of tropical fruit to decorate that little watermelon tier tray. So cute.
And that is, I think, the final DIY to fill this up. You could add just about anything to this watermelon tier tray. I know that my niece had a baby shower that was watermelon themed, and they recreated this tier tray to use as a dessert display. It would be really cute. Just make sure that your food is wrapped and not directly on there because it's not food safe the way that I DIY'd this. But I love it. This is how it looks in my cabinet for summer. I love decorating with fruit for summer. It's such a fun theme.
I just picked up this little camper 4th of July sign at Dollar Tree. I notice a lot of my Dollar Trees still have a little bit of 4th of July stuff left, but I think they have these for a lot of seasons, so you might just have one already too. I want to save the little galvanized metal door on here because that's super cute. But I thought we could remake this little camper and make it really cute. I want like lots of soft colors and textures and stuff on there to really make this like, you know, old-fashioned camper special. So that was really glued on there. They used a ton of hot glue, maybe because it's metal. So I'm going to use some thick things to cover it. So it doesn't really matter that there's kind of a glue mess left behind. If you're using like thinner paper, you might want to cover the back of this instead. But I'm going to use thick things like this little hand towel from the Dollar Tree. It is like a mint green color, like a light blue, and kind of, you know, that pretty beachy color I like. But I think it's great for camping too, because it's kind of a little bit more green, I guess. And I thought I would cover the top part of the camper with that, where it is like blue right now. So I'm just going to lay this out. It's plenty big enough between the little stripes on the hand towel. I don't really want to include those in the design, so I put little lines on the back of my camper so I could line that up perfectly and then just draw that on the back with a fine tip Sharpie so I'll know where to cut that out. And I just simply cut that. I left the seam there on the side because I thought that would be a nice transition between the top and the bottom of the camper. So I just cut that piece out. It's a little wrinkled, but I think once I glue it down, it will be fine. So that's half my camper. I think that's going to provide like lots of great texture. And then I thought I'd use one of these Dollar Tree burlap bags for the bottom part. It's not quite big enough, but we're going to make it work. So I'm going to kind of cut around the sides so I have that whole panel, and also remove the straps because I'm going to need every bit of this. I didn't really want to damage the burlap, so I just cut the strings just to cut the straps off. And this won't fit like straight across on here. It's not large enough, but if I get creative and like turn it like this, maybe it will cover the bottom half. But as you can see, even though that's coated with like a plastic coating on the back of that burlap, you can still kind of see through it. So I will have to paint the camper first so that you won't be able to see that through it. So I just sit that on the inside and just again using a Sharpie, kind of draw the shape of the camper where I need to cut that out. And as you can see, I'm using every bit, every single bit of this burlap. You could also do this with burlap. I really like crafting with these bags though, because it's like this finished burlap. There's like no fraying. It's super easy to cut and DIY with. And it looks nice too. So I cut out the bottom section. I don't want the tire to be covered in burlap, so I just cut that part off when I was cutting the little piece out. And now I need to cut out like the entire area where there's a tire. Since I can see through it, I'm just going to use a Sharpie, kind of draw where that tire is. And then just kind of cut on the outside of that to try to cut all of that part off. So we have like the little mint green towel for the top, the burlap for the bottom, but again, you could see through the burlap. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a coat of white acrylic over everything. I'm not too worried about that hot glue and stuff that's left on there from before. I don't think you're going to be able to see it in the end since I'm covering it with some nice thick fabrics. So once I paint that white, I do kind of need to go back and paint my tire back on. And so I just use a black paint pen, and you can kind of tell where it used to be. And I'm just going to draw my black tire back on there. I didn't really mind the way it was before. It did have glitter in the middle though, and I really don't want any glitter at all on here. So I just paint that over and I will cover that part of the tire later with something else. Just touching up the little hitch, trailer, and the tire again with some black. And then I go over the bottom half of the camper with a rather thick layer of Mod Podge. We're going to stick on that burlap from the burlap bag. And if you've ever worked with that burlap before, it has like a plastic coating on the inside. So I think I need quite a bit, but it kind of helps because it doesn't really soak through the burlap. And so you don't really get any like glue stains or anything like that on the cloth of the burlap. My tire was a little small, so I'm going to touch that up a little bit. And then we can attach the towel here to the top part. And I love these colors together. They're very soft. I think they go with camping, but they also match my like coastal farmhouse decor in my house. This is nice and thick, so I can use hot glue on this for sure. And so I just do like 3 rows of hot glue, and I'm going to overlap that on the burlap since I have that nice straight seam from the edge of the little hand towel. So I get that on there, just smooth that out. It glued down great. It didn't soak through at all the fabric. And now we can add like some details to make this look like a camper again. I'm going to make this a hanging sign, but this would be a great like stand-up sign as well for your decor. This would be really cute to decorate a camper with too. I'm going to glue back on the little galvanized metal door that was on there before, kind of like right about here. That way the entire window will be that bluish green color. And that's about where the door of the camper would go. Be careful if you're using hot glue though, because that metal does get hot. For the window, I'm going to use just one of those little wood dominoes from the Dollar Tree. They have a great wood back on them. And I am just going to stain mine with some antique wax by Waverly. Kind of give it a natural look rather than leaving it. I don't want like really any bright colors on this. I really want like lots of greens and browns and metal. And then I'm going to just use my white paint pen just to kind of draw on the window on there so you can kind of tell what it's supposed to be. So I just draw like a rectangle for the window and then kind of make it like a little sliding glass window maybe like that. And then to kind of give the illusion that it's glass, I'm going to do just some straight lines, little glass lines on there, just to give it a little bit of detail. And then I'm just going to attach the little domino right about here to give it a window. And you could use, you know, like a ruler or any kind of wood cut down small enough for that. But I thought the little domino was the perfect size. It's looking really cute. I didn't really like the glitter on the tire, so I thought I would use like one of these little circle puzzle pieces from this little puzzle from the toy aisle at the Dollar Tree. I like to pick these up for the shapes because you can use them for crafting a lot. This one's green, and I kind of want it to be more of the color of the towel that we used. So I'm going to mix a couple of colors together to get that. I think I mixed Cloudless together with like an ivory color. I just kind of want like a very soft, like mint green color. And I just paint the top and the sides of that. And it's small enough, I think I can put that on for like a hubcap on the side of the tire. And I'm just going to attach that with hot glue over that little glitter area there and kind of center that on my tire. Once I got it on there, I decided I kind of wanted it to be distressed a little bit. And so I'm just going to use a dry chunky brush and a very light distressing with some antique wax by Waverly. Kind of give it a weathered look. And this camper is looking so cute. I thought that I would just make this a hanging sign. They had it stapled on the back before, so I'm going to kind of do the same thing. I just knot some Dollar Tree twine and staple it kind of about the same area that they had it. You could also add, you know, some blocks to the back of this if you wanted to stand yours up. It would be super cute either way. And just trimming that off on the back. It's a nice thick sign, this camper from the 4th of July aisle at Dollar Tree. So it's great for, because you can staple all the way through it and not worry about going all the way through like on the thin signs. Now I thought the perfect final touch for our little camper would be a little pennant banner. And so I decided to use some of the scrap burlap from that bag that we cut down to cover the camper. And so I just cut a strip of that and then just go back and forth cutting little tiny triangles out, and we can make a little tiny pennant banner. So easy, but I think it's going to add the perfect final touch to this summer camper DIY. And I was inspired to do a camping video because we're actually going camping this week. So I think that's super exciting. So I thought I should decorate for it, right? I do like to decorate around the campsite. We are tent campers. And we like to rough it. Well, we don't have a camper. Otherwise, we would probably be campers. But I do like to decorate my campsite a little bit, but I also like to try to pack light and keep it practical. But you know, I can't resist. And I am actually going to do a couple of little Dollar Tree hacks today for things that we're going to take on our camping trip. So I just hot glued all of the little pieces of burlap, the little pennants, just to some Dollar Tree twine. I like to do odd numbers, so I did like a total of 5, and I'm just going to drape it over the top of the camper like this. And then just attach the twine to the back with a little bit of hot glue. Let it dangle down. They don't all want to go the right direction, so I do glue one of them down, but otherwise I just kind of leave it like kind of free hanging to give it that little pennant banner effect. Isn't this adorable? I think it looks so much cuter than it did before, and I'm so glad that I decided to DIY my own little camper.
I really love all of the textures from the materials that we used on there. I think it looks so much better than it did before and could be a really fun summer decor piece like in your home. It'd be really cute too if you actually had a camper. You can hang this on the wall for sure, and it would be a great gift idea too if you knew somebody that had a camper. I see those signs at the Dollar Tree all the time, but this was the first time that I DIY'd it, and look how cute it would be just displaying it with a Dollar Tree little lantern. Amalfi Coast, which is in Italy, which is known for their beautiful lemon decor and their coastal vibes as well. So I thought this would be perfect for me. I love lemons and I love coastal, of course. So my first DIY, I wanted to DIY something that would look like an old urn, something that you would find in Italy to hold my lemons on my table. So what I'm going to do is combine a couple of things, a plastic party bowl from the Dollar Tree and a candlestick. But of course this is blue. I need this to be white. So I am just painting it with some spray paint. I thought that would probably be the easiest way to do this. And this is like an ivory color of spray paint. I just propped it up on the candlestick to lift it up off the box that I'm using to paint it in so it doesn't stick or anything like that. But I tried to get a pretty good coat with one coat of the spray paint. I'm also going to be texturizing this because I want it to look like really kind of a handmade urn out of ceramic. So that is one side. I'm going to go ahead and flip it over here and paint the inside as well because, of course, I'm going to be filling it with lemons. You're going to be able to see inside it too. And just to finish it off, I'm going to do all of it. You don't have to do the entire bowl, but if you're doing spray paint like I am, it's just easier to do the entire bowl. So I just painted the inside as well with that ivory paint. And I think it's like an heirloom white is the shade of that spray paint. And I also spray painted the candlestick there while I had that on there just a little bit, even though it was pretty much the same color already. Then it's time to texturize it. This was actually pretty fun. So I just took some spackle from the Dollar Tree and I am just rubbing it on the outside of this because of course I don't want it to look cheap and plastic. I want it to look like ceramic, like an old urn, something that you would see on an Italian table. And so I am just rubbing this all over and texturizing it. Since this dries white, it's going to be fine because I was going for this white color anyway, so I won't have to paint it with another coat. And I had pretty good coverage there from the spray paint. And this gave it such a cool texture. I don't really need to do the bottom. I just do the little ridge there that you might be able to see from the bottom. And then I'm going to flip it over and texturize the inside too. So same thing, I just grab a little bit of that Now, if you don't want to get all messy, you can definitely wear gloves for this part, but I just kind of got in there and grabbed a little bit at a time and just smoothed it on the inside of the bowl. This gave me such a fun texture, and really, this bowl has come really far. You cannot tell what it was before. And I just went ahead and did the entire thing for completeness. And I just made sure that the edges were done as well. And I wanted to be consistent with the candlestick that's going to be holding it up. This was already white, so that was half my battle. But if you can't find a white one, you could always paint these. And I just rubbed a little bit of that all over here too. I didn't texturize this as much, but I did texturize it a little bit so that it would be the same color and consistency as the bowl itself. Now, once I got all the spackle on there, I just dried it with my heat gun. It was actually pretty fast process to dry this. When I dried it, I would also kind of rub it a little bit if there was any extra pieces like poking out that were real jagged. If I just kind of rubbed that off, it made it look a little bit better. But I'm not going to smooth it out or anything like that. I do want it to look really rough like that. So I do the same thing here for the candle holder, and I think we're ready to put this together. So I'm just going to glue this here on the bottom. Since it is glass, I'm going to use a strong glue here. This is the Gorilla Glue Clear Grip, and I'm going to go around the outer edge where it's going to have the most contact with the plastic bowl. And I'm also going to pull a little bit of hot glue right here in the middle of my plastic bowl, just for some short-term hold, but the other one's really going to make it a lot stronger. I just make sure that has some time to set up. And now we have a little urn. I think this is going to be perfect. This is just what I was wanting to display lemons on my table. So I was able to pick up 12 lemons at Dollar General for $5 and some greenery from the Dollar Tree. This is their garland, and I think the leaves are perfect for a lemon theme. So I had a partial garland that I used for something else. And so I used that first right there in the bottom, kind of give me a little bit of filler, but it also gives me a fun leaf decor. But I wanted the entire dozen of the lemons in here. So this was perfect. Then I'm going to take my second garland and I'm just going to pull the individual leaves off. They're attached two at a time, which is fine. And I just kind of spread those around my bowl, filling up any gaps or between the lemons or any gaps between the lemons and the pot that we DIY'd. And they do have lemons at Dollar Tree too that are larger, that are $1.25. Maybe they're more expensive now. I'm not sure. But I thought 12 for $5 at Dollar General was a great deal. And so this is what it looks like. It is the perfect centerpiece for my table, I think, for summer. You can see that great texture on our little DIY urn here. And I love it. The white color goes well with the lemon decor. And what I want to do is tie this in with like the tiles that you see in the Amalfi Coast with the Mediterranean blues and stuff like that. So that's what we will be using for the table runner. But if you've ever tried to make a table runner with Dollar Tree supplies, they don't have much, but they do have these. They have these in several different colors. I thought white would work perfectly, and it is the perfect length for my table. If I cut the little triangular parts here at the end, which I don't like anyway, off, this is going to be the perfect length to go end to end on my dining room table. So I just took it and measured it, and everything looks good. I did trim this end a little bit just because it wanted to fray a little bit. And what I want to do is turn this into those great tiles that you see with the blues and the whites. And I was able to find this foil backsplash wall sticker at the kitchen aisle at Dollar Tree. It was right next to these table runners. And I was like, oh, this is perfect. It's peel and stick. It's washable. This is going to be a perfect table runner. So I just need to figure out how to put this together. I think 2 tiles is all that's going to fit because I don't want to do like a half a tile. There's 3 wide on this, and it's just like a big foil sticker. I've never DIY'd with this before, and I was really excited to find this. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and cut 1 row off, just cutting where the so-called tiles come together. And I want to cut this as closely to those tiles as I can all the way around so I don't have like a white border around them. Like the edge here has a white border, but you can kind of see, at least on some of them, where that should be. So I just cut a straight line there. And I want to leave a little bit on one end for an overlap because it's going to take two of these, two rows like this to make the entire table runner. So 3 items to make a table runner from the Dollar Tree is not bad. I found that the table runner was $1.75, I believe, but not the foil backsplash. The pricing at Dollar Tree has me so confused. I gave it a quick press just to make things easier. And as you can see, it is a little bit wider than we need, but that's okay because if I get this on there crooked a little bit, I can always just cut it down to size perfectly. So what I'm going to do is just peel and stick. I just opened up a little bit here at a time, and I'm going to line that up to the end of our table runner and just simply stick it to the fabric. So easy. This was so much easier than what I was planning on doing. So my last minute Dollar Tree run paid off for me to be able to find this backsplash. And you have time to like pull it up if you don't get it on there right. If you find that you have wrinkles where you don't want them, you can peel it up, put it back down. It did have lots of folds in it from being folded up like this, but I don't know if this would hold up to heat, so I'm not going to take any chances and try to iron it. I'm just going to try to get it as smooth as I can, and I just peel off the lining for the entire first piece, attaching that to it, and I'm going to go ahead and open another package because I need 2 rows. I'm going to try to repeat that same pattern. So I'm going to cut the tiles to look exactly like I cut them before by cutting 1 row off, and I'm even going to have the pattern try to continue on the same as far as the blue and the white tiles. And these really do look like those beautiful tiles that they use over in Italy. The Amalfi Coast is famous for this look, and I love the looks of blue with lemon decor. I think it really makes the lemons pop, and it's really pretty. So I went ahead and cut off the borders of this one as well, just like we did before. And I have a piece identical to the first one. And I left a little bit of plastic on this end, that white, so I could overlap it slightly. And that's what we're going to do. I try to get it lined up well too, so that my line is straight. It continues the same straight line as before. And as you can see, I'm kind of centering it on that table runner. So I'll have a little bit of fabric on each side that I will need to trim off once I get all of the sticker attached. I love the material this is made out of. I guess it's really easy probably to wash if you had it on a backsplash. And so it's going to be great for messy eaters in my home that get food on this because I'll be able to wipe it right off with a sponge. So perfect. I'm not going to seal it or anything. I really don't need to do anything. The only thing I need to do is cut off the excess material. So I'm just trying to cut it as close as I can to the tile so that you won't be able to see any of this material because this definitely doesn't really go with my theme. And I just do that all the way around, just a little strip. And I think that 2 wide is plenty wide enough for a table runner. My table is not huge. And I'm also going to show you how I do a complete tablescape for summer with this lemon theme. So I already have the centerpiece that we made the lemons in the urn. This is the table runner. I'm going to show you how to do place settings and everything like that as well. I just finished trimming all of this excess material up, and this is it. We have a table runner. It is exactly what I wanted. I didn't know if I'd be able to pull this off with supplies from the Dollar Tree, but look how gorgeous it looks on my blue table. I think that's so fun. And I just put the centerpiece right here in the middle. It looks a little lonely though, so we are going to DIY some other things to decorate that space as well. But first, if you're enjoying today's video, be sure to hit that like button. It really helps. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Okay, for greenery, I'm going to use more of this garland from the Dollar Tree. I have 2 packages here, and what I did was just removed the wire from both of them. I don't really need it. It's going to kind of get in the way, and I just want the greenery to be loose like that, tied together, and I can string that down the table runner, and it's going to go well with the greenery in our lemon urn. So I cut the little round circles here off the end, just because those aren't very attractive. And I did 1 on each side of the centerpiece. And it was the perfect length, kind of just letting it take its natural shape. down the entire table just like this. And I love the greenery. I think it's really fun. The next item that I want to use for this is candles. I always love candles on my table. So I picked up some of these glass votive candles from the Dollar Tree. I thought I could do 2 on each side along that table runner, and it would be really pretty, especially when we light these. My son always gets a kick out of candlelight dinners, and so he will enjoy these, I'm sure. I put 2 on each side here, just putting it in with the greenery. And this is what it's looking like so far. I love it. I love the colors. So bright and cheerful for summer. The next item I'm going to use is a little lemon pick that I got at Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to cut the individual lemons off. You could also use the ones from Dollar General too if you can't find any at Dollar Tree. And I just want the lemons themselves, so I am going to kind of pull out the stems up from them and just use 3 lemons. I think that will be fine. I'll do one like it kind of fell out of the urn and the other 2 on each side, just a little bit in the greenery, and you could really use as many of those as you want. As you can see, they're a little bit smaller size than the ones that we used that are in the bowl, and the ones from the Dollar Tree, the big ones, are even larger. And this is what it's looking like so far. I think it's so pretty. Now for a table setting, I'm going to use one of these like seagrass mats from Dollar General. I think these were $3. And I'm going to combine that with one of the blue chargers from Dollar Tree. I just got this at Dollar Tree. I think these are so cool. And the natural textures of that placemat are perfect for this theme. And then for a plate, I'm just going to use one of my Rae Dunn plates. You could always use the lemon plates from the Dollar Tree too if you're lucky enough to find them. I could not find any. I could only find the bowls at my store. And for napkins, you have a couple of different options. You could use the paper napkins from the Dollar Tree. You could put it on there just like that. You could open it up halfway and do like a lemon slice like that. You could even open it up all the way and cover your plate completely if you wanted to. But that's a fun way to use those napkins. I wanted to try to do some cloth napkins just because I thought it would look a little bit better. And I found these beautiful cloth napkins at Dollar Tree. You get 2 of them in a package, and I think they're really high end for Dollar Tree napkins. They do have some pesky tags in here. I'm going to trim that off. They do have care instructions on there, but I don't really want them to get in the way. And I'm going to make some really simple lemon napkin rings using the wood bead garland from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to leave a little bit of the wood beads on there like that and estimate about how large I want it to be. I cut off a few extra there on the wood bead so I have enough twine to tie this, and I just tie that into a knot, giving me a super simple napkin ring. Isn't that so beautiful? I love these things from the Dollar Tree. They have them in all different kinds of fruit for summer, and of course I had to get them all. Now my napkin was a little wrinkly, and so I just gave it a quick iron there with my heat press, and then I just pinch it right in the middle. We're going to do a very simple fold here, and I'm going to put this on upside down because that's the way that I'm going to want to lay it on my plates. And I just pull the little napkin ring up where the lemon comes down in front. Something really easy, just a really simple fold, if you can even call it that. And I want to do that and lay these actually on my plates. I'm not going to set my kitchen table with silverware, but I did want to do napkins. And so let me show you what this looks like. I think that napkin material goes really well with those placemats that I got at Dollar General with the natural materials. It's not really bright, but the lemon itself is really bright, and it goes really nicely with those blue chargers, I think. And I think it would be really cute too if you had the lemon plates from the Dollar Tree to do something like this as well. And as many of you guys know, on my other channel, Crafty Beach Adventures, my sister and I are getting ready to go on a European cruise to Greece and Italy, and we will be in the Amalfi Coast area. So I think that's really exciting. I DIY'd this, and now I kind of manifested it, right? I think it turned out really pretty. Now for the next DIY, I found some of these little light up pineapples from the Dollar Tree. They were near the checkout. I have 2 of the little terracotta plants. Those are the tiny ones that come in the 3-pack. 2 of the little mini pallet boards and 2 of their wood wall shelves. And what I want to do is combine all these together to make 2 wall sconces where the lights are pineapples. I thought that would be really fun. And so I'm going to show you my take on this. There are, a few items from the summer section with pineapples, so I try to take advantage of it when I can find them at the Dollar Tree. I want a fun stain on this, but nothing too heavy, so I went over it with some Antique Wax by Waverly, followed that up with a baby wipe, and it gave me a great stain on these wood signs. Look how fantastic that looks, and so easy if you use some Antique Wax by Waverly. And I'm going to do the same thing here on the other sign. So I'm going to have 2 wall sconces. I want them both to be stained, and I want to be able to kind of hang them together. And I think that those are going to work for the shelves. I'm going to use these little mini palettes. They're a little bit harder to stain. I went in with a brush so I could kind of get in the different levels of the wood. And I want to be able to do the top, the bottom, all the edges as well. And I followed that up with a baby wipe as well. This one didn't quite stain quite as dark, so I did add a little bit more stain to it here in the end just to make sure it was kind of the same finish that was on the wall sconces themselves. And I did the same thing here with the other one. It was a little tricky to get it down in between all the different pieces of the board. So once I got all of the stain on these, I actually went to my sink and I washed them to try to work some of that stain down in them a little bit more. And that did seem to help. And then I added a little bit more Antique Wax by Waverly to deepen that stain a little bit. I'm going to have one of those on each one of these long boards, and those are going to hold the flower pots, which are going to hold the pineapples that are going to light up. So that will be really cute, I think. Now, this is like the macrame cord that comes with the wall shelves from the Dollar Tree, so I might as well use it. I just threaded it in from behind and knotted it here on the front, and I don't want my hanger to be too long. I think that's going to work. And then I'm going to make a second one here for the second wall sconce. Whenever I DIY a wall sconce, I always like to make a set. I think they look really cute together. And this is something that you could really put indoor or outdoors. If you are going to put it outdoors, though, you might need to find a way to make sure your pineapple lights do not blow away, because you have to kind of just sit them in the flower pot because you have to be able to turn on the switch, which is on the bottom of them. They're so cute. They remind me of the little light up flamingos from the Dollar Tree. So I did the same thing on both shelves, just making some hangers. I'm going to connect the little mini wood pallets with the skinnier boards here on the top, so it has more of a surface, and on its side like that, so I can glue that wood piece directly to the wood wall shelf. And I am going to reinforce that here in a little bit as well, just to make sure that's super strong, because I didn't use any screws or anything like that. These are the large Jenga blocks from Five Below. I've heard that you can get these at Dollar Tree Plus now, but I have not seen them at any of my stores yet. Just a little block of wood, and I think this is going to be the perfect size. I do want it to match everything though, so I did go over them with some Antique Wax by Waverly, wiping off the excess to get a great wood stain on these as well, so it'll kind of all blend in together. And I'm really glad I decided to stain these wall sconces instead of painting them, because look at all those beautiful wood grains we have in those. I'm going to add them here underneath the shelf. I just add some hot glue to the side that's going to go against the sign, and then I also hot glue them to the shelf itself, just like that, to reinforce it. And it's going to give just a little bit more strength to this project, since this is going to be hanging on the wall and it's going to have the flower pots on there. I want it to be super sturdy. So that's what our wall sconces look like. I then take my little mini terracotta plants and add some hot glue here to the bottom, gluing that kind of right in the center of the shelf, and I do that with both. I'm not going to add any greenery or anything to these. I do kind of simulate a plant behind them once I get my pineapples in there, but this is how they are built so far. And these are the little light up pineapples. They are super cute. I'm going to make sure that these work and just sit them right inside the flower pots, just like that. I did think it needed a little greenery, and I love these little leaf lays from the Dollar Tree, so I thought I could use the leaves from these to kind of simulate a plant growing up the back of each one of these wall sconces, just to add a little bit more character. I don't want all of the plastic in between it though, so I'm just going to use the individual leaves. And depending on which one of these you get from the summer section at Dollar Tree, some of them are like dark green and light green, like this one. And so I just alternated the colors, adding a dot of hot glue here just so they will stick to the sign. But I want them also to be able to kind of fall forward a little bit. And I did a total of 5 all the way down the little wall sconce. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. I just kind of alternated which direction the leaves are tilted and glued these all on. And I was really glad I added this because I really think it added a fun tropical vibe to these little pineapple wall sconces. Super cute. I love them. My son got a big kick out of these. Let me show you how they turned out. They look really different in all different lights, so I want to show you all the different ways they look. This is what they look like during the daytime without the little pineapple lights turned on. I think those pineapple lights are so sweet and whimsical. You never know what you're going to find at the Dollar Tree. I have found like light up flamingos too that I like to use in my decor. And they're battery operated, so they're easy to turn on and off. But this was just such a really fun, whimsical DIY for summer with a pineapple theme using these. This is what they look like in kind of a lower light when you're actually turning them on, but still kind of during the daytime. Really cute. I love them displayed together like that as a set. I ended up displaying mine in my kitchen, and this is what they look like at night. They're super bright. I was kind of surprised by how bright they were. I could actually use them for a little bit of lighting instead of just decor. But I thought these were really whimsical and sweet, and I wanted to include these in today's summer DIY video. Now up next, we're going to be doing a luau party table. I love how this one came together.
Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of this foam board from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to cut this down. I'm just using this cutting mat as reference because I just want to cut this down and make it a little bit shorter. What I want to do is turn some of this ready board, this foam board from the Dollar Tree, into a thatch roof for a luau party table. So I'm going to set my party table up inside my house. And so I have a curtain rod I'm going to use for a base. If you didn't have a curtain rod, you're going to have to build some kind of structure or something to hook it to. But that is what I'm planning to do. I want to make a thatch roof using some of those grass skirts from the Dollar Tree. So I cut about 1 foot off of one of these, and I'm going to do the same thing on a second one. I'm also going to use these little 1 foot portions that I cut off to make the base for this, to make it like pitch out like a roof, if you know what I mean, from the wall. So I'm going to use these little grass skirts from the Dollar Tree. This is the child size. This was the only size that I had. The adult size is going to be a little bit longer, but we're going to make this work with the child size. It's just a shorter, because, you know, a shorter skirt for a child. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is just attach some masking tape to my foam board. And the only reason I'm doing that is because I'm going to hot glue. And I find that foam board kind of melts and sizzles a little bit if you add hot glue to it. But the masking tape seems to prevent that from happening. So I just kind of measuring how long that needs to be, and it is going to be a little short, probably because it's the child size, but I wanted to double it up anyway. So to make it thicker, to make it look like thatch. So I'm just going to go down a little bit and put a second row of masking tape, and that's where I'll attach my first grass skirt. It's on this twine already. I'm going to leave it on there. And I'm just going to do a bead of hot glue all the way across my masking tape and just glue this on. Now, it's kind of big, so you can't really see, but the grass skirt goes all the way to the bottom of the foam board and overlaps a little bit at the bottom to kind of give you that thatch look. But again, I wanted to double it up to make it look thicker anyway, so I am going to do 2 of those too. Now I'm going to go ahead and set up my second board just so it will be exactly the same. I want this to be as wide as my party table, so I'm going to do 2 of these side by side. So I set my second one up the same exact way with 2 rows of masking tape. Now, just to kind of make it stay in place, I do kind of just hot glue it down a little bit just to make sure it kind of lays flat, but probably not that necessary. Now, here is my second grass skirt that I'm going to use for that top row. And when I undo it, I just make sure they're all kind of tight up against each other so it's nice and thick. And then just hot glue that twine at the top. It's already all tied off. Makes it super easy. And overlap that on the first one. Just cutting off the twine from the sides. You kind of see that overlap there at the bottom. And then we're going to do the same exact thing on foam board number 2. I was looking, some ways that people have made kind of similar thatch roofs. If you have a party table that's kind of freestanding, a lot of times they use like PVC pipe and stuff like that to build a structure. And that sounds like a lot of work. Now, I was going to do mine against the wall, so the curtain rod is definitely going to help me with the structure, but you could probably attach this to any kind of wall. You might have to modify how I did it a little bit though. So I hot glued down the first grass skirt, and here is the second one. And if you use the adult size, it might be long enough for you, but I still think you're going to want to double them up to make it look a little bit thicker. So I just glue the second one on too and cut off the extra skirts. And these were our extra pieces of foam board that we cut off before. And I wanted to cut that off to make them shorter, but I also wanted to be able to make like braces or brackets. And I was kind of thinking, like a shelf bracket or something like that. But I also want something that's going to like slope down like a roof. So I'm going to cut out some triangle shapes here. And working on my geometry there. And I want 2 of those. So 2 brackets for each one. So this is my extra board for my second one that I cut off. And I'm going to use my triangles as a reference to cut out 2 triangles on that one as well. Now I need some way to like attach this to my curtain rod. So I kind of need like a notch or something. So I'm just going to kind of draw that on. What I think a hook would look like that's going to hang on my curtain rod. And the foam board's going to be nice and light, so I don't think it'll interfere at all with my curtain rod. I think it'll be plenty strong enough for this. And then I just cut that out and then use that as reference for my second piece, and just using some like heavy duty scissors to cut both of those out. Now, I was thinking that it was not sloped down quite enough if I were to hang it like directly on there. So I'm going to try to make it slope down a little bit. So I'm going to kind of adjust my triangle here. And so if that hooked on, now it's going to slope down like a roof shape. So I'm going to do the same thing here on my second one. We have 2 little brackets. And now for the second set, for our second board, I'm going to need to do the same thing by cutting those down to make them slope as well. And then I'll also have to cut some notches in those. Now, Dollar Tree foam board is really easy to work with. It's going to provide you enough structure to keep this up, but again, it's going to be light enough that you can just hang this on your wall easily. So we have all 4 of our brackets. We have both of our foam boards covered in grass skirts to make them look like thatch. Now just a matter of attaching the brackets to the back of the board. And the curtain rod will be on the back there, so that's where I'm going to have my hook openings. To attach it, I'm simply going to use some more masking tape. The way it's going to lean down, you're not really going to be able to see the structure under there. This is all going to be kind of hidden, but I think the masking tape is going to be plenty strong enough to hold the bracket on there. And I kind of just do one on each side. And then my plan is just to hook that onto my curtain rod and let the thatch roof gently lean down. So this is how my first one looks. As you can see, one foam board is kind of skinny, so that's why I did 2, so I could do 2 back to back, but this is how it looks like underneath with our 2 brackets sitting on my curtain rod. So that is number 1. And so now I just need to do the same exact thing here with board number 2. I knew I could probably do a thatch with these grass skirts, but I was really impressed with how easy it was to do and how fun it turned out. And a thatch roof, I think, is definitely necessary for a luau party. It's totally going to give you that tropical vibes.
And this doesn't have to be permanent because it is just a party display. I hung this on my curtain rod like this. Each one has 2 brackets just to make sure it stays pitched out like that. Doesn't damage my curtain rod or anything like that. If you're working outdoors for your luau party and you don't have a curtain rod, you could use like a PVC pipe or just a metal rod or something like that and hang it on there as well.
And now we can decorate the wall behind it a little bit. I thought we could use one of these little luau party banners, and I'm going to try to make it look a little bit more high end by using some rolled burlap. I got that rolled burlap at Walmart. They do have rolled burlap at Dollar Tree now, not necessarily in a 6-inch roll like this though, but you could use whatever you can find. And I like the fact that this is luau party, but I don't want it to look just like a cheap like paper sign. So I'm just going to simply cut the letters away from the structure. So we just have those great like pastel colored letters that spell out luau party. And then I can use those to make my own like pennant banner for the wall behind it. Now, I have tropical like palm leaf curtains in my dining room already. So that's going to, I think, make a great backdrop. So I don't really need to do like a backdrop underneath the thatch roof or anything like that. My palm leaf curtains are going to be perfect, but you might want to do a backdrop if you don't have that. But you could always just use your wall or whatever and make a cute little pennant banner like this. So this is the rolled burlap. I really like the 6-inch roll that they have at Walmart. And look, it's just about the right size for these letters. And I think it's just going to make them look a little bit more high end. And just making sure that it is going to work. And I think it will. So I just lay out like my first letter. And then I'm just going to cut that burlap right along the seam so I have a nice rectangle size. And then I'm just going to simply hot glue my little paper letters to it. They're kind of made out of like a cardstock material, so they're super strong. I think they're going to hold up well with hot glue. Then I just use that as a reference to cut out a second one, and we can just glue our letters to this. So it's a fun way to take one of these cheap $1.25 party banners from the Dollar Tree and make it your own. And it's a lot easier than trying to cut out these letters and everything on your own or even with a Cricut. Just kind of modify them a little bit. And they already have like little tropical leaf patterns on them and stuff like that. So that's totally going to go with like the luau theme. The A is a little wider, so it does kind of overlap my 6-inch size, but I think that's fine. And I think luau is spelled super weird. Every single time I write it, Luau, I'm like, that is not right. And then I think about it and I'm like, it is right. When we were in Hawaii celebrating our 20th anniversary, wedding anniversary last fall, I guess late summer, I was really cracking myself up trying to pronounce the names of the streets and stuff like that on the Big Island because I cannot say any of their words. Beautiful place though. I've always wanted to go there. It was my first time and we had such a great time. It was my husband and my son and I, and we stayed in a jungle yurt with like a 360 view of the ocean. It was like up on top of a coffee farm. It was so beautiful. So I just glued those onto twine for the luau part, and we're going to do the same thing here with the party. I also wanted to say party, so I'm just going to go ahead and kind of bulk cut out all of my burlap pieces. And using the roll like that, you can see it does make it easier, than cutting it out, but you know, they have the big sheets of burlap that are all rolled up into a roll. I'm not sure what size those are. They're pretty big that they have at Dollar Tree now. You could totally do it with those too. You would just have to cut out all four sides. So PARTY, hot glue all of those on. And then I took some more twine from the Dollar Tree and just hot glue those on. And I am just using that little plastic laminate that I have there just as a spacer, so I don't have to measure in between the pieces, just to speed it up a little bit. And the tool that you see me using there for my hot glue so I don't burn myself is just a cake decorating tool from Dollar Tree. I love grabbing those for hot glue. That's what I use mine for, not necessarily cake. So I just tied this to my curtain rod and strung Luau and Party separately against the back wall. I think this looks really good, and you can tell I spent a little extra effort on those and not just a store-bought sign.
I think the burlap really adds to the party banner. And now we can do the party table.
Now we need a tablecloth for our party table, and I found this great tropical print tablecloth at the Dollar Tree. I love the colors in this, and I'm going to use this as a lot of inspiration for my party table. I'm going to use the pineapple inspiration, very tropical, very Hawaii, the hibiscus, that pink color, that bright pink color. We're going to use that as inspiration too, and I think this is so pretty. Now, these tablecloths from the Dollar Tree that they have in the summer, they're like flannel backed, but they're really thin. But I think it would definitely work for a party. I don't know how well it would work for day to day though. So here's my party table that I've set up in front of my window. I like to trim my party tablecloths down to size. And so that is what I'm doing. I'm just cutting what I need to go on the top part of the table. Now I have an idea to do like a table skirt to, box that all in and make it look really cute. And this is how we're going to do it with some more of the luau skirts. Now this is the adult size, so this is the longer one, but I love using these. You'll see I use these a couple times today for like a table skirt or something like that. It works really well. It's all tied up into a skirt anyway, so it just makes sense to use that as a table skirt. So I'm just going to open these up. They're already tied on the twine. So it's just a matter of stringing those around the edges of my party table. And then we can decorate it even more from there. I love decorating with these. So I just kind of peel up my tablecloth, and I'm just using like packing tape, just some clear packing tape, something that's going to be easy to remove after the party, and just putting that on my party table. My party table is nice and clean because I got a new one. My husband took my party table to work and like destroyed it. And I love the little party tables that fold up really flat. This one like folds up and then folds in half, so it's really easy to store. So I just taped that all the way around, and that is how our little grass skirt looks. I'm also going to tape down the corners of my tablecloth just to make sure that they stay in place, and also like round off the edges. Now to kind of cover up the transition part, I thought I would use some of this mesh ribbon from the Dollar Tree. I love this. The tan one's my favorite. I think it kind of looks a little bit like fishing net, like all like crazy fishing net. And so that's what we're going to use because, I want to kind of do a little bit of a coastal theme with this as well to go with the Luau tropical party theme. So I just attach that to the back, just tying it on with the actual grass skirt. Why not? It's already there. So I just do the same thing here in the corner. And I just kind of want to cover that transition between the tablecloth and the grass skirt. And then I thought we should decorate it a little bit more too. So I found these tropical looking flowers. This is a magnolia. Nice big white flowers. I think that's going to look really cute to decorate our table with. And so I'm just going to pop the flowers off of the arrangement, and then we can just use those to decorate that. I think I wanted to kind of stay with like the pink, white color scheme there of that tablecloth. And then I also found these pink ones. These are called Cosmos. And I think these are going to be lovely as well. If you can find some of the new hibiscus garland that they've been having at Dollar Tree, they have like a bright pink flower. They also have an orange one too. Either one would be really pretty. And then I'm just going to simply hot glue these to that ribbon. And we're just going to kind of alternate those. I kind of like lay them out the way that I want them. I want them to kind of go white, pink, all the way around the table. But just to finish off that, make that like flower decor from that tablecloth, like just pop out and look more three-dimensional. And I love this. The combination of the flowers and the grass skirt, I think really works well. And you wouldn't think the magnolia would necessarily be a tropical flower. I picked it because it was nice and large, but it actually goes really well with the decor. But again, that pink hibiscus garland would be super cute as well because, you know, that tablecloth already has like the hot pink hibiscus on it anyway. And so I'm just going to continue by hot gluing that on, just onto that mesh ribbon.
And I suppose you could pre-assemble this. I wanted my flowers to be spaced out evenly there on my party table though, and I think this turned out really cute. I love decorating with grass skirts from the Dollar Tree.
Now it's time to decorate the party table. So I picked up one of these little wooden pineapples from the Crafter Square at Dollar Tree. I had somebody calling me out for using Crafter Square products in one of my videos recently instead of Dollar Tree, and that I can't call it Dollar Tree DIY. Oh, come on. I think we all know that Crafter Square is at Dollar Tree. Am I right? I thought that was a given. So I'm also going to use some of their craft wood from the Dollar Tree as well. It's also found in Crafter Square at Dollar Tree. And it's just the brand name they use. And I'm just staining mine with some antique wax by Waverly. And I love the way that this wood stains. It looks so nice. You can see that beautiful wood grain in there. And what I want to do is use 2 pieces of craft wood to build a little like plate holder that we can put the party plates in for the luau party. You know, you could probably use this for a napkin holder as well. It's a little bit heavier duty though than you might need, but you could totally use some smaller of the thinner wood. The little craft planks would work well for that too. I do have an idea for a napkin holder and I'll show you what I ended up doing, but this one is going to be for my party plates. So I stained 2 pieces of the craft wood, and then we're also going to stain the little wood pineapple. It's already got this base on it, so that is actually going to help with part of the structure. And I'm just using the antique wax by Waverly to stain my hand, the pineapple, and just wipe off the excess with a paper towel. So easy to use, and it dries so quickly. I love that stuff. As you know, I use it all the time. And I think that looks really cool. I wasn't able to find like a paper plate, luau paper plate that I like from Dollar Tree. And so I actually used some of their like actually plastic plates. They're a little bit heavier duty than a normal party plate, but they're also from Dollar Tree, so they're super inexpensive. I do want to have a hint of being distressed with some yellow for that pineapple color, kind of bring out the yellow pineapple like we have on our tablecloth. And so I just distress with like this mustard color of paint that I had. And I just distressing over that stain to let the stain kind of come through. But I just want it to be like kind of tinted in yellow. And then I also want to do the same thing for the top of the pineapple. We're just going to distress it in green. I don't remember what shade of green that is. And it doesn't really matter. I didn't even like it. I went back in with another green that I had. And just distressed the top of that That way the back of it's still stained, the base of it's still stained, but the front of it's kind of got that yellow and green pineapple vibe. Now it's time to put our little plate holder together. I'm just going to do a bead of hot glue along the back and just sit this on here, making it like a 90-degree square angle, hopefully. And just using hot glue to put that together. I think that's going to be plenty strong enough for the application. And then we're just going to attach the little pineapple part here to the top. I'm just going to put hot glue on the base of it and glue that right on top. And I think the opening is going to be plenty large enough to hold my party plates. And I love customizing stuff like this. So these are the plates that I found at Dollar Tree, and they're like summer section. You get 4 of them for $1.25. So even though they're not paper plates, they're still pretty inexpensive. But I like that hot pink color. I thought that was going to go great with our tablecloth and the luau vibe. So we're just going to take these apart. You're probably going to want to wash yours before you use them. I just want to show you how it's going to look though, by just sitting those in our little plate holder. I like to customize everything for parties. I have so much fun. My son had some of the most epic birthday parties growing up. Ask anybody. And now for napkin holder, I told you I had a different idea. This is just one of those little flamingo signs from the Dollar Tree. It doesn't matter which one it is because you're not going to be able to see it. Then I popped a flamingo off to use for a previous DIY. I'm just going to pop the little sawtooth hanger off the back of the sign, but I measured and this frame is the perfect size to hold napkins. And I found these great summer vibes napkins from Dollar Tree with the pineapple on them. So perfect for the luau theme. And look how it fits perfectly in there. And we're just simply going to sit napkins in that little frame to make a little napkin box. Super easy. And that way you can see the fun design right there on the napkins without it being blocked by anything as well. So we're going to kind of just sit that there with our plates to get started on the party table. Now, this is a tray. I got this at Target Dollar Spot. You guys know I love to go there too. $5. I think it's so cute. It's seagrass, very high quality, I think, for $5. And we're just going to use that for our cups and straws and stuff. And I found these bright yellow party cups, 14 for $1.25 at Dollar Tree. They're like the yellow plastic, like, you know, kind of like solo cups. But I thought that bright yellow color would look great with my luau party. I also found some bright green little plastic solo shot glasses, so that's super fun too. I like mixing up the colors. It's going to make it look more tropical, right? I wanted to do like cups, the shot cups and like straws and stuff on there. And I found these little paper straws in the summer section at Dollar Tree. These are yellow and white with a green and yellow pineapple on them. So they're totally going to go with that pineapple vibe we've got going on the table. You do have to kind of open them up though. They're like one of those like little honeycomb structures. And if you open them up, they have like the little paper leaves on there that you kind of put together that kind of keeps them open. They're not like perfect, but they're fun and party vibes. You could also use the ones, you know, with like the little party umbrellas like built into them as well. That'd be super cute. But I really wanted to go with the pineapple ones to go with my pineapple on my tablecloth and, you know, the whole Hawaii vibe. So I just go ahead and open those up. And I think those look great with it, but I need something to put them in. So I picked up one of these little tiki cups from the Dollar Tree because I liked the face on it. And I thought, you know, it's blue plastic. It kind of looks cheap, but we can make this look high end and we can make a little straw holder. So let me show you how I did that. First, I want to cover up the blue on there, and I'm just using ivory chalk paint. The reason I'm using chalk paint is just to get a little bit better coverage on that bright blue plastic, but you can always do this with acrylic as well. You're just going to need probably more coats of it. But look how cute the design is on that. That is something that would be hard to kind of recreate on your own. So using a Dollar Tree plastic item like this is a great backdrop for this that we can kind of make our own thing. I wanted mine to look like old distressed wood, but we got to cover up all of that blue first. And as you can see, even with chalk paint, I did have to go over it with like a couple of coats to cover up all of that blue to give me a nice ivory background. And this is going to be just about the right size, I think, to hold those party straws, and it's going to look nice and tropical right there on that tray that we just put together for the cups. Now, to make it look like wood, I take Antique Wax by Waverly and a chunky brush from the Dollar Tree, and as you can see, I'm just like lightly dragging that over to bring out that pattern, just distressing that. And I just make sure that I just work in one direction. We're going to go all the way around the cup. And it gives you like a faux wood grain, which is going to make it look like a little carved wood piece. It's going to make it look so much more high end and only $1.25. So you can't beat that, right? I'm also going to go around the top here. It does have like a screw top, and I will have to kind of put something on there to kind of finish that off so you can't really see that part. But I go ahead and do the bottom as well. And then just using like a paper towel, I just kind of wipe off any excess if I think I got a little bit too much anywhere. And then I can always go back and blend it a little bit. I don't want it to be too dark, but I definitely want you to be able to see like that design. And so I just kind of blend it, wipe off the excess, just kind of work with it a little bit until I'm like happy with it. Now for that screw part on the top that I told you I needed to disguise, I'm just going to disguise it with some Dollar Tree burlap ribbon. So I am just kind of seeing how big of a piece I need and just cutting that off. And we already kind of painted the outside part of it white. And I kind of want to disguise that whole area like that. So I'm just going to kind of wrap it around, tuck it down in there, just kind of fill it up. So I do a bead of hot glue all around the edges of the screw top for the cup and just glue the burlap on there like that. And then I am just going to simply fold that down inside. And the tension's going to kind of keep it in place, I think. And just kind of make a cover for the lip of that cup to disguise all that and kind of make it go with the vibe of the wood and the beautiful tiki little cup we made for our party straws. And I have a couple more DIYs similar to this. I can't wait to show you. They turned out so cute. So here's our party straws. They fit in there perfectly. And it's a great way to display these cute little pineapples. And I think it definitely looks a lot better than it did to begin with that like bright blue color. Look how cute that turned out. So we're going to sit that on our little beverage tray there with those. I also wanted a pop of pink, and I picked up one of these little pink flamingo solar lights. And this is just going to be a bit of fun. Just to add a pop of pink, a fun tropical vibe. I was surprised to see that when we were in Hawaii that flamingos are not native to Hawaii, even though people kind of like to put them in with tropical decor and it looks great together. But the only flamingos you're going to see there are at the zoo. And I was told that was because of their location. None of the flamingos could naturally reach them flying because it was just too far away. So I just kind of break the bottom off just because I wanted my little pink flamingo to kind of sit in there. It still didn't want to sit up too well though. So I'm just going to use one of these little wood circles from a puzzle at the Dollar Tree. I buy these sometimes just for shapes because circles and stuff like that can be kind of hard to find. And it's yellow, so it's going to go with the vibe, right? And I just hot glue my little pink flamingo on there. If you're having your party outside, it's going to light up at night. I don't know how well inside it will do, but I just wanted a little pink flamingo to sit in there. They also have the pink flamingos this year that light up with a little switch. If you've seen those, that would be super cute as well. So here is our little cup straw tray. I like the fact that it's all together in a tray. I think that looks cute and tidy, and it totally goes with the tropical vibes. Now, this is the other DIY I was telling you about. With the little tiki faces, I picked up 3 of these little plastic cups from the Dollar Tree. And I chose 3 different colors just for fun, and I don't know if their faces are different. I can't really tell. I don't think they are. And I want to make these look more high end as well, because I always like to do like some kind of fun custom thing to put like the plastic silverware in, the cutlery. And I want to do knives, spoons, and forks. You know, just the general ones. I've made the thing for the plates. I've made something for the napkins. I want to do something fun for the silverware. So we're going to kind of do the same technique here that we did on the straw holder, where I'm using ivory chalk paint and going over the cup and covering up all that bright color. I did choose 3 different colors because I am going to leave like the inside unpainted, because I don't want, you know, like any paint touching like the plastic silverware that people are going to eat with, you know. So I thought it would be fun to have the insides tinted different colors, bright tropical colors, and they really kind of pop with that white painted on the outside, as you can see. Makes them really bright on the inside. So all 3 cups, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just painting them with that ivory chalk paint first. And then I want them to look wood as well. I think that looks very tropical, very luau. So I'm going to do the same technique that we did on the straw holder. Antique Wax by Waverly, a chunky brush from the Dollar Tree, and just working in one direction, distressing it and bringing out that great carving like detail on there. It makes it look so cool. I love it. I was really hoping this would work well for these, and I was really pleasantly surprised. Antique wax can do so many things. So I just go all over and just work in one direction, kind of blending it as I go, making sure that my paint is good and dry. You definitely want to make sure your paint is dry before you start using the Antique Wax by Waverly. Otherwise, it's just going to blend in and you're going to get like just tan paint. And it does take a little bit of time for the Antique Wax by Waverly to dry, so be careful touching it after you've painted it. I like to let mine sit a little bit more than using my heat gun on them. I find time helps that dry a lot better. And so I do the same thing on all 3 of my cups, making them look wood, but they also have those fun pink, yellow, purple colors on the inside of the cups as well. Now I just wanted to do kind of like a base to make them all together. So it's like a little cutlery, can't say that word, cutlery tray, if you will. And so I'm going to use some Dollar Tree craft wood again. I just picked up 2 of these like shorter pieces. And I'm going to use hot glue to just glue them together. I always like to have a little bit of a stash of this Dollar Tree wood because it comes in handy for making custom projects like this. So I just glue those side to side to make a little base so we can make this all come together. Now I do want it to kind of look, you know, like the carved wood tiki, so I'm just going to use some Antique Wax by Waverly to stain the tray as well. And if you wanted, you could put like some handles or something on the side. I just wanted like some kind of a plain base to attach these together and make this something that you can like kind of move all at once. I also do the edges too, just because I thought you still might be able to see them. Look how great that craft wood stains. Isn't that beautiful? Now it's time to put it together. So I just use some hot glue to attach the party cup. to the base, just kind of going around the edges where it is gonna make contact, and just kind of center that on the board. I just kind of used a ruler for reference to make sure that I kind of had that in the center of the board. And then I'm gonna kind of center the other two in the space that I have left, one on each side, and we're gonna have a really fun little cutlery holder for our plastic silverware. And normally I do like a boxed in kind of a fashion where you can also put like napkins and stuff in there too. But I think this turned out fun. And sometimes you don't really want napkins to be there too. You want people to kind of be able to work their way through the line. And here it is, our little holder. Look at those great faces. Aren't they kind of spooky? They're so fun. And I love how this turned out. Very unique, I think. So we can put plastic forks, knives, and spoons in here. I always like to use the clear plastic ones because they'll go with any kind of party decor if you have some left over at the end of the day. And we're going to kind of sit this over here as well. Not really doing any food on this party table. We'll do food on the table in front of it, but I think that's going to work. Now, this was actually a thrift find. It's kind of ugly, but I got it for half price, so $1.50 at Goodwill, and it's a candle holder that's shaped like a pineapple, but I was looking out for pineapples. You know, you could always use real pineapples for this if you wanted, but I found this, so I thought we could try to DIY it. It's got a great texture that looks just like, a pineapple, but not a fan of the black color, right? So the first thing I'm doing is just going over this pineapple with some of that ivory chalk paint to try to mask that black color, kind of give me a blank canvas to work with because this was really dark. I don't know why a pineapple candle holder would be black. I don't know. I don't know what somebody was using this for. But I just want to use this as decor for my party table. And so I thought I don't really necessarily want it to be a candle holder, but we're going to kind of make it our own thing. I do want to get in all of those little cracks though, where I was black too. And I found that my first coat didn't really do it. So I switched to a brush with bristles to kind of get in all of those grooves on my second coat of ivory to kind of brighten that up because it was really dark. Now, to make it look like a real pineapple, of course, we're going to use some Antique Wax by Waverly and drag that over the great texture on there. And this is pretty cool, right? For $1.50 from the Dollar Tree or from Goodwill. And it is, I think it's going to be really fun. But again, you could always use a real pineapple for this because, finding something like this might be a little bit difficult. You never know what you're going to find at the thrift store for sure. But I just kind of go all over. And then for the top of the pineapple, I want it to look like a real pineapple. So I am going to paint it green. Kind of a light leafy green color. All along the bottom here. Where it has like the leaves sticking out of the side. And then flip it over and do the same thing on the top. Again, I didn't really want this to be like a pillar candle holder. It's not really something I had planned for my party table. I just wanted to make it look like a real pineapple. And so I do still have that opening there in the top where it was a candle holder. And I'm just going to use one of these little succulents from the Dollar Tree. Kind of looks like the top of a pineapple, right? To put in there. And I think that'll kind of finish it off and be a cute little decor piece. Kind of like that. And I'm just going to put a little bit of hot glue in here to secure it. Easy peasy, little thrift flip and a fun little party table decoration for my luau party. Super cute. I love how it turned out. Now I wanted to kind of put it up where you could see it. I'm going to use one of these little riser tables from the Target dollar spot. And then I thought I could also use like one of these little leis from the Dollar Tree. Haven't really used any of those yet, right? To kind of like string around it, kind of use just as, a little decor for the party table. And so I need it to be a little bit shorter. So I'm just going to cut mine down and take the strings and tie them off to make a fun little mini lei for that little riser, and then kind of just sit my pineapple right on top of it. It looks super tropical, super fun. And sit that back there, and just the riser just so you could see it a little bit better on the back of the table. Now, the next DIY, we're going to use some of these great little metal buckets from the Dollar Tree. And then these are little bamboo sticks that I actually got on Amazon. I have these listed in my Amazon shop below. I love DIYing with these. They're so easy to DIY with. I love the shape. And something I haven't really seen those at the Dollar Tree. I made a great toilet paper holder for my coastal bathroom with those. It turned out so cute. But what I want to do is take these little metal buckets. I have 4 of them from the Dollar Tree. And I wanted to make like little mini tiki torches for my party table that you can put like little candles in and have them light up as well. I thought that'd be really cute. So I am just taking the handle off of these and the little tab on the side, because what I want to do is I want to make 2 of them the base to make them stand up on the table, and then 2 of them will be the top of the little tiki torches. And I think that these little bamboo pieces are going to work perfectly for that, right? So what I want to do is just kind of put one on each side like that, kind of alternating. And I was kind of mutilating my bucket there a little bit with my pliers, but I'm just going to use some hot glue and glue that to it. Now, the natural shape of those little 10 buckets from the Dollar Tree is going to kind of make that go in, which is something that I want. The reason that this bamboo works great for this project is because I need the wood to be a little bit flexible so that I can bend it. So I hot glue one on each side. So for right now, they kind of crisscross like that naturally, but I'll be able to bend those exactly how I want them. Now I want to add 2 more on this side. So I'm just going to kind of center that out in between those 2. And then I'll flip it over and add 2 more. So I'm going to use a total of 6 of these little bamboo sticks on each one. Now for the bottom, to kind of reinforce that, I put a little dab of hot glue and wrap some Dollar Tree twine around it. It's also going to finish it off and make it look kind of more finished there at the bottom with some twine. Now I'm going to do the same thing here with my other metal bucket that I removed the little handle and the little tabs from. And these are both going to be my base pieces. And it worked out really well because these are going to be the same size as the top pieces. It's going to kind of be balanced. But since I'm using these little buckets upside down on my table, that's going to be nice and flat, and it's going to allow them to stand up. So I attached 6 the same way, just with hot glue, and then just glued and wrapped some twine off on the bottom to finish that off. And you can kind of see it coming together, right? So this is the tricky part here. You just kind of have to pull them all apart. And then I'm going to sit my metal bucket in the top of it. And I'm going to glue with hot glue them onto the sides of this bucket the same way I did on the top. So I'm going to do 1 on each side, kind of start with to make sure those are even. And then space out 2 on each side as well, like I did on the bottom. And as you can see, like that bamboo bends really easily. So it's going to be like, skinnier in the middle, wider on the outside. And then I'm going to use the same technique I used on the bottom by hot gluing a little bit of twine on there, wrapping that around, cutting it, and hot gluing the end. So we have a little metal bucket on each end of that one now. So we're going to go ahead and do the same thing here with the other one. I thought if I made a little mini tiki torch, I could put one on each side of my party table. It's going to look super cute and a fun way to do like an indoor or a party little tiki torch. I had a lot of fun making these. I kind of had a vision of what I wanted these to be in my head, and I think they turned out really cute. So I just glue all 6 of my little bamboo pieces to this one as well. This one was a little long. I don't know why. Maybe I didn't get it on there right. So I trimmed that one up and hot glued it on, and then we're going to twine this one as well. I was trying to decide if I wanted to leave the handle on the top bucket, and it doesn't really interfere with it, so it's kind of up to you. Now to make the middle go in more, I take some twine, tie that off, see how I can make it skinnier in the middle, and then just wrap that around a little bit just to provide another little twine piece to that and give it that tiki shape. So it's kind of like a tiki on both ends, but it turned out pretty cool, I think. And for the candles, I want to be safe, so I'm going to use some LED tea light candles from the Dollar Tree. Just battery operated, because we don't want to start any fires at this party. But it's going to be fun because you can have this kind of glowing, especially if you're having your party in the evening. And I will show you at the end how it kind of looks at night with a little bit lit up with our little tiki torches. I think they're so fun. Trying to give you a view of the whole thing there. I'm going to sit one on this side of the party table and one on the other side as well. Nice tall pieces for the back. They light up, they look super fun, and they're really fun to make. I will make sure that bamboo is in my Amazon shop. I love it. You get a whole bunch of them in a package too. Now, normally I don't really care for these, but for a luau party, I think we can go with it. I got a little toucan and a pink flamingo, the little funny tinsel ones from the party section for summer at the Dollar Tree. And the colors are bright. It's super festive. And even though I'm not a big fan of the tinsel, I think they're going to make fun little decorations for our luau party table. Kind of as is. What do you guys think? I love the little toucan. Isn't his beak adorable? So cute. So we're just going to kind of put those on our party table. Maybe the toucan over here. Since I already have a little flamingo over there. And maybe the little flamingo just over here. I think my favorite part of this party table, the tiki torches and those little tiki faces. I love those. Okay, this one I actually got at the Target Dollar Spot too. I thought it looked kind of tropical with like that. It's kind of like the bamboo, but like in a crisscross, and it's got like a little battery operated candle in it. It was $5. I thought it looked cute. It would go good with a luau theme, and it's something that I can light up with like another like battery operated candle. So I think I'm just going to kind of sit that one back here. Loving those little tiki faces. Okay, I also want to do like, a little bit of coastal to go with the vibe. And this is just one of those little white ceramic starfish from Dollar Tree. And we're just going to kind of use that as decor. I think I'll put mine here in front of my pineapple. And again, this is a small party table, so it's just basically silverware, plates, cups, ice. I thought ice would be good on this too. And I thought it'd be really fun just to use like a bright pink sand pail from Dollar Tree. You can even use the little shovel for the ice. So basically just fill this up with ice. Super easy and a fun idea for an ice bucket. My party's going to be indoors, so I think that the ice will stay frozen for at least a little bit in here. And you can just fill it up with ice and sit it here. And just another little fun idea for a party table. And I think I'm done with this table. This is how it looks with all of the items together.
I love a good luau party. The great thing about that is really kind of any summer party that you're having, you can make it a luau party, a birthday party, just a summer party, just because. And then baby showers, different things like that as well. I love the little DIY tiki torches and the way they light up at night. And let me show you all of the features here of the party table. I did this party again indoors for a little bit of air conditioning, but I love the tropical vibes I was able to bring in. My tropical curtains that I already have kind of go with the theme as well. But I had a great time putting together finds, even some thrift flips in there, and some little DIY tiki torches for the tabletop. Those turned out so cute and they're really easy. And a luau is, easy to mix in a little bit of coastal. I love the little plate holder. You can find a lot of like pineapple kind of items at the Dollar Tree and tropical items, but you definitely have to keep your eyes open. I seem to accumulate a lot of craft supplies from lots of different Dollar Trees. I have about 5 here in my town, and I even go to the next town over because they seem to have like bigger, better ones, and the town too towns over is even better. But this is how my luau party table turned out. I love it and I hope that you do too. Now, I really hope you enjoyed all 30 of these summer Dollar Tree DIYs. Let me know which DIYs were your favorite or which theme was your favorite. I like to mix lots of different themes today. We had watermelon, pineapple, lemons, camping, luau, everything that kind of screams summer to me. And then this is my QR code. If you'd like to scan it with your camera phone, you can buy me a copy. I hope you enjoy the final reveal.
Open air, side by side we sway there in all the colors. Summer love, lonesome dove, folded on the lawn chair in all the colors. Summer love, remember when we were getting nowhere fast, when the garden won't stop giving back. Honeysuckle, fresh cut grass. I could really use some stuff like that. Talk to me and tell me all that you've seen, all the colors. Summer love, memories washed in every shade of green in all the colors. Summer love, remember the lazy river day canoe, bathing in the turquoise blue, losing track of time with you. Another beach pie sunset view, sleeping in the afternoon. No place to be and nothing to prove. That's sure something I could use. A cure for the air conditioned blues. to the ocean too.
Thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of my summer crafting marathon today. I would also like to thank my YouTube members for supporting my channel. Thank you to Jamie Joe, Janae Farrington, Pamelia Wren, Donna Schreiner, Maren Christensen, Adrian Brolt, Debbie Middleton, Red Mama, Renee Albanese, Pal Puppy Life, Chinny, Debbie Austin, Lizette Thomas, Amy Branham, Mary Renzel Park, and Leanna Thomas. We would love to have you join the membership as well. It's $4.99 a month, and you're free to cancel at any time. And you do get early ad-free access to my content here on YouTube. Now, would you like more summer crafting ideas? Be sure to check out one of these Dollar Tree DIY videos right here. And until next time, happy crafting for summer.